What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming and waiting patiently. I had some technical problems there, but we got everything up and working now. It looks like everything is doing what it's supposed to. Uh, I see a few people in chat, PC and um, Stephanie, John Clark, Blargle Man the Septic, uh, Ook. All right. See Zach out there, Dave. Anyway, what's up, everybody? So today was kind of I've been there's some different things and stuff as far as like shows and all that we've been wanting to do and everything, and getting back to streaming on Thursdays like regularly has been a kind of thing I wanted to get back to doing, and that may end up being the um, doing a couple of these shows with guests and a couple shows a month with Robin doing the politicality show. Um, that's definitely coming back. I think the plan is to do it every other Thursday, so maybe in between do that. And then also, I haven't put the show up yet, but um,
What's up with
oh,
Lionheart?
Eric, you poor dumb fucking idiot. You don't even know what you're talking about, bro. I'm not challenging anybody's beliefs. The channel is called challenging your belief, you dumbass. That's why. That's why. Golly. All right. So um anyway, Fridays Jess and I are gonna that'll be me and Jess on Fridays looking at all the various nonsense that Ken Ham rejects, and just to yeah, just let me deal with something real quick here. How do you prefer QC? That
Yeah, QC is fine.
oh,
Or you could just
okay,
even call me Q.
okay. Let me uh, let me address something real quick here. Eric, Lionheart. We had this discussion, and your response to me was because you tried to change everything, and I didn't want to do it that way. Um, and you just kept trying to do stuff. I got sick of it and didn't want to do it. I was honest with you and told you I got sick of it and don't want to do it. Um, and the your response to me is you was going to go tell everybody. If I showed your people this and blah 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 because I don't want to debate you about Mary Swatzer again, which you completely looked like a fool the first time we talked about it when you refused to listen to anything that Mary Swatzer herself said while using her as a source, which is incredibly dumb as fuck. Um, you insisted on doing that, and I told you from the very beginning I had a time and a place and all that, and that's why I was doing it. And I told you even whenever you tried to put Mary, I said I don't want to talk about Mary Swatzer again. Like, I don't care if you use it a point to make something or whatever, but like, I'm not even crazy about debating anyway. And if you want to use it as a point, that's fine, but let's not make the whole thing about Mary Swatzer. You didn't listen to me on that, and then you said, well, can we talk at this other place? And I said, yeah, as long as we do the one on my friend's channel, because that was the whole point of doing this. I was doing it to do him a favor. I told you all that. You said first you send me your friend wants to do it, and I told you right up front too. I wanted to be done by 9 o'clock at night. You send me something saying we're going to start at like 8:30 or something, and I said no. And you said, well, he can do it. He can do it at an earlier time, earlier in the week. And I said, okay, fine, whatever, set it up. You you then tell me he can't do that. So then you're going to do it on your channel, and you're going to go find some other moderator that you just wanted to pull out of your ass. So here's the deal. You're welcome to hang out. You're welcome to say your little piece when the time comes. But that's the only time I'm going to address this during the stream. I'm not going to argue a separate point with you during someone else's time. You had your time. You made a fucking fool of yourself. I'm sorry. Fuck off. Okay. Hi, QC. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, I see these kind of things in like YouTube comments and on Twitter, and if you can have someone who can actually respond to the counter arguments and they just kind of keep going on and on as if they never heard you, it's not productive talking to guys like that.
Well, yeah, no doubt. And I think that most of the time when you talk to apologists, especially creationists, um, you will find that they don't ever listen to anything you say anyway. They're just waiting on their chance to talk. Uh, so, like, I did a thing before with this particular person and let them come on, and they were completely rude. They insisted on like trying to just ramble and go on and on and on about stuff like that was irrelevant to it. And even whenever I try to say stop, they say, "Well, let me get this one point," and then it would be 10 more minutes of just rambling about bullshit. And I put up with this and let it go on, and I was like cool about it, trying to be like somewhat nice about it until the very end, even. And I said, "There's no way in hell I'll talk to this person again without a moderator." And rather than take that as a "I don't want to talk to you anymore," they took it, like we need to do a debate with a moderator. And the I mean, I don't mind. And one of my friends was trying to have some new people on to debate, and I was like, all right, well, I'll see. He's wanting to debate, so I'll see if he wants to do it or whatever. And then it just became a pain in the ass, and I'm just over it. And like the thing with Mary Swatzer, like the whole video, I played Mary Swatzer's own work. Um, Mics are low. They shouldn't
I
be.
increased the gain on mine.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that helped.
Um, the let me go look at mine real quick just to see.
I mean, mine was kind of low, so hopefully, um, Blarg or Neo, is the volume okay now? Oh, it's still low. Hmm.
Auto gain control.
Yeah, maybe I should turn off the auto gain.
Yeah, I just turned it off on mine. Is that better, everybody?
Yeah, and I'm pretty close to my mic, so hopefully that should have improved. I don't know if you have control on your side to up the gain on mine.
Yeah, yeah, I do. But you're turned all the way up.
Oh, okay.
So am
Hmm.
I. Oh, mine was fine to begin with. I see. In that case, hold on a second. Let me. Mm, all right.
And Stephanie said I'm a quitter. No, I'm not a quitter.
I think she was
I'm
trying to
just
say
kidding. Yeah,
quieter.
I know. I'm just I'm just I'm just joking.
uh, but so one of the things that we had kind of like discussed as what we were going to talk about, like you coming and hanging out. And by the way, everyone, like uh, the this is QC from the channel Challenge Your Beliefs, linked um, in the title for sure. And but it's just at Challenge Your Beliefs, I think, right? Um, I
Yeah,
did have all
actually,
that up.
I think Pragmatic Christo, she posted my link on in the chats.
Oh, okay, awesome. Awesome. She's good for that when she's available. But the thank you, PC. But but yeah. So you had said something about like what do you suggest about talking to certain people and stuff, and um, I think that I think that the biggest thing that I've learned from all of this all together is you gotta kind of just do your thing and let that stuff happen. Like, um, and I mean, apologetics is it really hasn't changed much. I mean, you come across the occasional like where they say something a little bit different, but usually like it's different because they've said something that's batshit crazy, not because they have some new great argument. Um, I'll tell you the most useful bit of advice I can give you for trying to engage with Christians in general though is vet your people. Go look at what kind of stuff they post and what kind of uh, know a little bit about who it is you're having on before you do, because um, and it may be your choice to whatever just have anybody on that wants to talk, and that's completely your choice. But for me, whenever I find somebody who spends a lot of their time saying awful things about other people, the LGBTQ community specifically is one that they like to pick on a lot, and they have like just all this awful shit that they're out there saying. Um, I find that usually what they're trying to do is use your platform to have a place to stick that nonsense in. Like they may want to come talk about something else, but they'll the ones that do that kind of stuff will try to. It'll always go to that for them. They're insistent on doing that, and all that does, you can say, sure, I'll just tell them they're assholes or something like that. But all that does is just it makes a lot of people in your audience feel like yeah, they don't want to come and watch that disgusting person talk, and so I suggest always like even if it's just I'm not saying like dig into everything they ever made. I'm saying just go look at a couple of their top videos or whatever and see um, what kind of stuff they've been putting out there. That's because they will absolutely do that. They'll show up and make it about something like you may want to talk about the resurrection, and they'll show up and talk about something completely different just so they can say their hateful shit. Like um, it's it's a problem, and that other than that, I would say just be yourself. Don't worry about it. Like you do the things you do and approach it the way you do, and the there's a few of them out there that like you can with Christians it's a weird thing in my experience. There's very few, and in creationism there are no honest ones. Um, the or very rarely an honest one. There's a few that actually believe some of the stuff they say, but the if you go and ask and say like, "Oh, hey, will you come talk to me on my channel?" They're gonna say no just to be an asshole to you. Like they're gonna say no just because you asked them to do it. Every time I make it clear, I don't give a shit if I talk to them or not. Two or three of them want to talk to me then, and but I mean it's actually the truth. I don't care if I talk to them at all anymore. And
Well, so I actually set up a weekly, like a regular segment on my live stream, where it's the Dodger of the Week.
yeah,
And it's basically, like if I'm on Twitter or YouTube comments and, they start going on about their thing, and I say, okay, I'm not interested in having this back and forth on on these chats or whatever. And if you are interested, you can come on my channel, my live stream, and we can talk about it. We can have a discussion. And then the excuses come out because these guys really, I mean, I'm sure most of the Christians that are on these forums just spewing out their comments, I doubt they've really had any real discussion with a serious discussion with any atheists, and that's why they continue to give the same debunked, idiotic arguments because they have never had anyone push back on them in a real discussion.
Right. So I think that that's true in many cases, but for me, uh, see, like, there's this weird thing where it's like, I don't know. I've gotten like kind of, and maybe it's just me getting a little burnout on it and stuff. Like, I don't care to talk about whatever scientific issue to the extent that I know something about it. Like, I'll tell you if I don't know, but like uh, the constant, like, well, I'm going to defend creationism by pretending to poke holes in evolution, or I'm going to take, I'm just going to deny science and somehow act like that is a good reason for me to be defending creation. And I think that it kind of screws things up, and it gives the for the atheist community that's used to watching creationists do this, like, we all understand, I think. But to other people watching, I think that it leads to this idea that if you're not, like, if they're poking holes in, or evolution, or making fun of it or whatever, that somehow the default position is then creationism is true, um, to the outside audience. And so I've kind of been against really getting into those conversations. Like, I don't care. I still wouldn't care to have, like, if somebody says, "Hey, I want to talk to you about this and that to do with evolution," like, I'm fine with that. But let's be clear that that's what we're talking about. And I'm also going to be clear that, you know evolution, like, I'm going to talk about definitions and stuff before we do that, because um, I don't like the. I don't know. I just got tired of it myself. To each their own, though. And I mean, I wouldn't ever tell anybody how to do it, or whatever. Um, as far as, like, you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. Like, I think it's good to have people doing whatever they want, and there's not, like, I think a lot of those things aren't very beneficial, and can. It's not, how to put this. It's not so much that they're having the conversations with them. It's that you get too often, you see atheist channels that think that this talk about evolution is the point, and um, they lose track of that. So while they're taking this conversation to mean that it's just about evolution or whatever, the fact of the matter is that it's not, and it never was. Um, they're being used to promote something else, and people like Kent Hovind, horrible about anything to do with evolution, yet that's all he talks about, right? Like,
Yep.
um, Kent doesn't know hardly anything about evolution, but that's not the point. It never was the point. It's for Kent to get on and make a spectacle out of the atheist that he's talking to, so that the audience that's there all says, "Yeah, Kent want another one," like, which is a much bigger audience. And um, the atheist community, generally, by the time you get to watching, Kent Hovind debates on Standing for Truth, or you've made it to my channel, you already know that evolution is accepted science and a fact that it happens, and the difference between evolution and the theory of evolution, and like by that time you already know those things. So it's only the people that are outside of our in group that are seeing it a different way. Um, and you don't really do anything in that case except for let someone else make a spectacle out of science to someone who's not a scientist.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think that's a good point because, you know, like you said, it's almost a distraction, talking about evolution or the Big Bang with these guys. Mostly because, a lot of them don't even really know the science. I've yet to met any creationists who actually know the science when they talk about it. And for someone like Ken Hovind, it's almost performative. He may or may not actually believe what he says, but he's obviously doing it for his crowd, right? He would be an idiot, and he might be an idiot, to believe that anything he says would convince any atheist, or at least any atheist who knows anything about the sciences. So I think he's just doing it for his own people.
yeah, well, right. Well, Kent's thing is that it's very much a grift for him, because
Yep.
it's buy my number 5 DVD and come on down to Down with Sword Adventureland.
Wait,
Um,
does he still sell DVDs?
oh yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god. he
But
should he should start like selling VHS tapes. See how
hey,
that
the funny
goes.
thing about it is that they're all available for free online anyway. Like, and he says that,
Oh, yeah.
but so it's more like a donation type thing, I guess. If you're, I
Yeah, I
guess
guess. Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I'll just say for myself, when I started the channel, it, I was definitely naive because, I mean, within the YouTube comments, at least on the AXP, the Atheist Experience channel, the kind of comments there are really, really toxic. I mean, just horrible things. And my thought was that, if I could actually talk to these people, in a voice discussion, that it would be different, that they wouldn't be so toxic, and they wouldn't be so abusive, etc. Um, and in a sense, that is true. I mean, I think it is very different when you are actually talking to someone than when you are like on kind of like Twitter war or whatever. Because I mean, I'm certainly that way where I may be a lot more aggressive and abusive in those chats or whatnot. But when you're talking to them, it is better. So the idea was that if we actually like connected in this way, then they would be less abusive or less toxic and maybe understand it more. And us, the atheists, would also kind of get a better sense of where they're coming from. So that was the idea. And on my first live stream, I think it sort of did work, except these guys really are dishonest,
Yeah,
and they really don't listen to the arguments. So I've now I'm not, I don't consider myself an atheist channel per se. I just see it as a place for us to have discussions on a lot of different topics, because like the last topic we had was about mental health. And I actually you know kind of opened up about my own mental health journey, and I thought it was very helpful to at least the people that were listening live, and hopefully people that see the video. And I want the topic not necessarily to be a debate against these theists or Christians or whatnot. I want to be a forum for different people. What And a lot of times it could just be all atheists, like the panel that I usually have, or it could be someone who's willing to come in and have a civil discussion.
yeah.
Because the one before this guy, shoot, I forget his name. Uh Someone on the chat, who was the guy that I had, who was the CEO of some company, because we were going to talk about death penalties. Um, and he was very intelligent and very civil, and we had a good discussion. It may not be the most exciting because there wasn't fighting, but it was an interesting discussion. And so that's what I want at least my channel to be. I mean, it would be great to talk to Christians and other theists to try to have a discussion to figure out, okay, why do you believe what you believe, and here's, do you really understand the counter arguments, and hopefully at least kind of get both sides to sort of listen to each other. Whether that will really happen, or at least not at a regular time, I don't know, but that's kind of where I want my channel to go to.
Well, I mean, and to be quite honest, well, let's before I address the thing there. How long have you like been trying to do this?
I started a channel like around June or sometime last year. So
Okay,
yeah, and I
that
was
make months.
making sort of video content a little bit when I have time. I just haven't had a lot of time, but generally, it's I've been pretty much having a weekly live stream with the guys that are here in the chat every Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. So that's been pretty consistent.
Yeah. Um. So I think that maybe that I was. So I've always said on my channel, I'm willing to have honest conversations with anyone that wants to come talk. And I've had a number of theists that do come on and that are honest about what they believe and this and that. You know, they understand that going in that that's what the conversation is going to be. And I usually tell them up front, like, this is what we're going to talk about. And if you try to make it about something else or whatever, I'll just end the conversation. The uh, so I think that you're right that there are theists out there that genuinely can have conversations. Now they may still have some like dishonest positions in whatever it is they they're talking about, that either they don't know that it's dishonest just because of indoctrination, they've never really taken a critical look at it, or they could be any number of things. The I do think though that the that I think the idea that these toxic people in chat are somehow going to behave themselves if you just have a conversation with them, I think that that happens maybe the first time you bring them on, maybe even the first couple times or whatever. But as soon as they get comfortable with it, they behave the way that they were already behaving. They were already showing you who they are.
Yeah.
Uh, so I would be careful about that. But uh, other than that, like I don't. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have conversations with theists and talk about what you believe and why and those things. Like I think it's a tough conversation to get them to engage in because they all too often they want to make arguments and they want to poke holes in science, and they want to talk about anything other than why they hold their personal beliefs, which to me isn't very valuable. Like I need to know more about why you believe the thing you believe, not the same old argument that people have been making about evolution for years now. The So I mean, I think that I commend you on trying that. I think eventually you'll find yourself a little burnout on trying to do that, but I hope that you don't, and I hope that it works for you. Uh, um,
I mean, personally, I still have a little bit of tough time getting people to even want to come on these discussions because, whether it's Twitter or YouTube comments, like I said, these are guys that are not used to actually having discussions. So the idea of getting on a live stream and talking to a real person, I think scares them.
yeah,
And they immediately find excuses, oh, I don't want to promote your channel. And I'm like, the size of my channel is so tiny. Unless you're like someone famous, you coming on isn't gonna increase my subscribers.
Yeah.
But they're just like finding excuses. So
Yeah.
but I did find couple people who are willing to come on and have a discussion, and at least the first one has been pretty good, and the other one I have scheduled. I think he'll be pretty good as well.
Yeah. The
But you're not on Twitter, right?
not anymore. No, I
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
be. I gave that up, but I already know. Yeah. So yeah, Twitter is uh, the wrong way to go. Yeah. The queer rights person over there. I feel like that this is a troll. So um, yeah.
Let me on, cowards. I mean,
Yeah.
what are they thinking that this is? They
I
think that
know.
you and I are having a debate or something.
Yeah. The
Or maybe
no,
they think this is like a call-in show.
they're just trying to be a troll is all. It's
Okay.
um yeah. Yeah, if you have something to say, you can contact me on Discord or in my email. It's all linked on my channel, but if you continue what you're doing, I'll just have my mods kick you. Um but the it's like Twitter was awful. Whenever I first started so a little background about myself, and I'll let you then fill back in, and because this isn't meant to really be about me, but the whenever I whenever I started making content, I made recorded videos that were to like show like grifts of televangelists and just kind of make fun of that kind of stuff. And I was I did other videos too. Like I did some on the resurrection, and I did a video like Ray Comfort's 10 scientific claims in the Bible, like a rebuttal to that. And um, hold on a second. And the I don't know where all the trolls are coming back. Um, where all the trolls are coming from in my chat.
If you haven't seen these guys before,
No,
I'm thinking they might have come from Twitter, because I posted that I'm doing this today. So maybe.
I see. Yeah, we all of a sudden had a huge uptick, and not a huge uptick, but the numbers jumped up, and then we had a bunch of trolls in the chat. So yeah, maybe. But oh, same one from there. Okay.
Oh,
Well, anyway, my mods will take care of it. I trust them to do it. They they don't they don't let that go on. Um, Sarah QC's channel is Challenge Your Beliefs. That's the name of the channel. They're from YouTube. But yeah, so whenever whenever I first started doing this, though, I made those videos, and then through Twitter, I actually had came across this theist Daniel. He has a channel on YouTube, and even his name on Twitter, I think, is Darwin to Jesus. Um, you've
well, is it Darwin to Jesus?
yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm constantly on him when he makes posts. It's hilarious.
Tell him tell him I said hi to his cognitive dissonance. He'll love that.
He's actually like really stupid, but he
Yeah,
thinks he knows so much. Uh, yeah, I find him funny, and I definitely made a bunch of posts to him telling him or complimenting him on how entertaining he is. So
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
He So that's one of the first. In fact, that's the very first theist I think I had on the channel. And
Oh,
he,
really? Oh, wow.
yeah, he came on a few times, and it was like it was okay at first, like you're talking about. Like he talked all that smack on Twitter and everything, and then whenever I had him actually come on and discuss, stuff with me, he was all right at first, and uh, he he later got upset because I'd done a couple videos with him, and I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a creationist such as yourself to actually go through parts of the Bible with and talk about, like we're actually going to read through parts of it and talk about it, and we'll do a little bit on each chapter, maybe not read the whole chapter, but we'll talk about the highlights of the chapter and the things that stick out to you or me or whatever, and go through the Bible and do this thing." And he was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I think that's a good idea, and it'll be good for both sides of this conversation if people are truly interested in my interpretation of it and stuff. That'll be there, and you can argue about it however you want." Is kind of how he viewed it. So we do the very first show, and I'm wanting to start in the Old Testament, of course, because I think that makes sense. Um, start at the beginning of it, and he wants to start in the book of John, which isn't even the beginning of the New Testament. But I was like, okay, sure. And he starts with he starts talking about stuff, and immediately I'm like, well, you've got a problem. Like, you don't actually know who wrote this. And we cover the various problems with the Gospels, and um, he doesn't fare very well in the conversation. Really, went kind of badly for him. Um, I had you know I had sources and stuff that showed that he was full of shit, and the afterwards, a couple people had commented on the video and said, "Yeah," and I even did the video as a recorded video just so there was like no real trouble because I didn't know what he was going to say really. Um, but I ended up putting up the whole thing. But the a couple people commented and they said, Rob and someone close to the channel had said, uh, Daniel's sick, or he's stupid or something like that. Like he's got really bad ideas, is what she was saying. And I said, yeah. I said the cognitive dissonance in this one's strong. And me and him had been in several heated arguments at this point, but yet that was the one that he used to then get upset and say he wasn't talking to me anymore and threw a little temper tantrum. And my wife says this, my wife says this, he kept saying. I said, I don't give a fuck what your wife says. Like, I wasn't talking to your wife, I was talking to you. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, um but he got all upset and blocked me and threw a little fit, and um you know but whatever. So yeah, and then I've encountered a few people from Twitter. Usually, whenever I encounter theists on Twitter, because after that I started kind of a few things happened, and I started looking into the people that I was talking to, and every time one of them would confront me on Twitter, like I was like, yeah, I'm not promoting that person. Like I'm not giving a platform for them to come and just say stupid shit, like um, stupid, harmful shit, specifically. Uh, but um,
Well, let me share couple of posts or Twitter tweets that I directed at him. Let me see. if this works.
Yeah,
Can I share my?
sure.
How do I put it on? Or
I
you have
got
to
you.
do it? Okay, great.
Let me switch.
So this was like he was starting to. He claimed that he was going to disprove the puddle analogy, and he did a horrible job at it. Uh, and this was still not coming up, but this was my and I there was a lot of back and forth, but I'll just show a little summary. Is it showing? It's not showing up. Is this do I need to do something, or can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't, is it showing up, or is it just me?
Yeah, I've got your screen share up.
Oh, I do. Oh, for some reason I don't. Just see a blank screen on mine.
Um,
But um,
I've got the looks like a Twitter page
okay.
replying to Darwin to Jesus.
Yep. Yep. So I mean, this was after a few back and forth, but it's just like he really doesn't have any logic. So him disproving the puddle analogy is that he can come up with a different analogy that makes it not work. So yeah, he basically said, well, if uh, uh, well, it doesn't show it here, but he was saying that, well, if water was like steel, that analogy wouldn't work. But this one was him saying that it assumes that life is inevitable, which it doesn't. But let me go back to just,
Yeah.
yeah, in general, he just so I told him that I love seeing your posts. It's funny how he desperately tries to pretend what you believe is true by strawmanning atheism. So he seems to do this a lot. He's constantly pointing out how dumb atheism is, as if that's going to make his God all of a sudden come to life. It's like uh, and I've heard this analogy, I think, from J Mike, or maybe it's SR. If you prove someone else's TV is broken, that doesn't mean that your TV is not broken. So and he generally like ignores me, uh, but every once in a while he'll just he thinks that he has a counter argument, so he'll pop up. But for the most part, yeah, he just kind of runs away. But I haven't
Well,
directly challenged him to come on my
him,
channel.
people like him and Wendell and
Oh, Wendell's the other one. Yeah.
yeah, and what is it? Not evolution is the name of the poster. They are really like their whole thing is a lot of times I don't even think they believe the stuff that they post. I think that it's just engagement farming. Um, but now with Daniel, Darwin to Jesus, he's actually like he makes his wife wear a head covering all the time,
Oh
and
my God.
yeah, and like uh, he's one of those that says that um, it's not men's fault that uh, they gawk at women. It's the women's fault for dressing that way. Like he says some really horrible shit. And
Yeah, I've seen one or two of that. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
yeah, and he likes to go on and say, "I used to be an atheist like you," and has this whole like non-part thing about how it was morality that made him stop being an atheist and all this stuff. And I don't think that he was actually ever an atheist, honestly. I
I
mean,
mean, he may have just like not gone to church, at some
that's what I think
point.
it was.
Yeah.
I think it's like he wasn't a practicing Christian and he's calling that an atheist because
Yeah.
like then whenever we discussed things like he had no understanding of what the most like he said that he used to go and argue the same things I argued, and all this and that, and that he just knew better now and all this. And I was like, well, I said, how do you like because I think your claims are absurd. So how do you get past, like, how do you decide they're not one day? Um, uh,
You know,
in
he
fact, some of your
has, I
claims
think he came
are
up with,
absurd.
he created like some website for himself, and he talked about a little bit about how he became a Christian. And apparently he was like talking to someone, and, some atheist was saying that rape isn't objectively immoral, objectively wrong. And he took that as saying that rape isn't wrong. I mean, he just
Yeah,
like basically he doesn't understand, like a lot of Christians don't understand the difference between objective and subjective morality. So he thinks, oh, if it's subjective, then anything, that means it's wrong,
yeah.
or nothing can be right in a subjective morality. And so he
Well,
used that to say that, oh well, from that on, I realized that atheism was wrong.
he actually, when I said that his last appearance on here didn't go well for him, one of the reasons that it didn't go well for him is by the end of it, I had him saying that child murder was a good thing. And uh, I was like, I walked him kind of down that road, and he was like, yeah, yeah, it's good. And I was like, okay, is that really what you want to do? Like, is that really the point you want to put across to people here? Like, um, and so yeah, it ended up not going really well for him, and uh, yeah, he blocked me on everything, and then he's got a couple friends within the that I don't know. Have you came across Rob Grain,
No,
Groen?
no,
Uh,
no, I haven't.
uh, Red Pill Apologetics, or Red Pill Rob, or
No, I mean, I've actually been away from Twitter for a couple years. So I was on before it became X, before Elon took over, and
right.
then I recently went back, maybe like not even maybe about a month ago, um, to just because like I, I just found the YouTube comments on the AXP channel just not worthwhile. No new discussion or anything. So I had a pretty large Twitter account. So um, and when I went back, even after a couple years, the numbers were still there. I'm sure people weren't too active there, but I went back and I kind of rebranded it. Initially, I said, um, uh, "Oh, a theist tap out," because I was at the time I was kind of really targeting theists, and to try to kind of say that, okay, you guys aren't even willing to come on and have a discussion, you tap out. So I had that, and then I kind of like wanted to rebrand it into something more I get not generic, but not so focused on atheism. So that's where I changed my handle to challenge belief, because
Yeah.
they have a limit on how many characters the handle can be. So it's challenge beliefs on YouTube. I'm challenge your beliefs, because they have more room. But yeah, anyway, so I hadn't been on there that long, and I ran into all this stuff. Uh, the Darwin to Jesus guy was saying, and that's how I got on. Actually, initially, were you following? Was it Lilith something?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I think it's a she. You know, Daniel seems to really be obsessed with her, so he always like uh, makes a quote tweet of her stuff and just saying something stupid. So that's where I just like going, who is this idiot? And I didn't even realize I mean, obviously I didn't know who he was, but I started responding to him, and then when I started like seeing all the stupid things, I started following him just to kind of hear all the dumb things that he says, and like I said, it's been very entertaining. Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, so here's another stupid thing he had made on the screen. We are all born knowing God exists. Unbelief is simply an act of rebellion. And these Twitter theists, Christians, seems to do a lot of this where, oh no, you're not an atheist. You actually believe in God, and you're just like telling yourself he doesn't exist, or you're rebelling. So that's why I responded like, okay, yeah, that's why both my children's first words were Jesus is king. Yep. But
Yeah.
then they rebelled and they started worshiping Zoroaster. So I gave this meme of this guy walking to urinal and like at the end saying Zoroaster is king.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's really ridiculous. I'll stop sharing now.
Yeah. It's hold on, let me get my big head off here. Yeah, that's what a stupid thing to say though. Like, is everybody,
Yeah.
because first of all, you have no way to, I mean, that is as baseless claim as you could have, and it's, you would not, it doesn't even fit as like you're born with a positive belief like of something whenever uh yeah uh
Hey, this guy Diamond Dog USA, he was asking, did you ever have faith? So, were you a Christian initially?
yeah, I was a Christian and raised young earth creationist and believed
Oh,
that up
wow.
until I was about 25.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, until I went to college, and I had questions and stuff about it all along, I guess. Like there was a lot of like back and forth with it at different times, as I got older, but I still believed it was probably true, and like I just didn't understand it. Was kind of the position I took, and that just because I didn't understand it didn't mean that it wasn't true. And the As I came across more and more science specifically, uh, then along with a little bit of just considering like that the creation story specifically, like that there's a number of those out there, and that they can't, they're mutually exclusive, right? Like they can't all be true, and but it did seem like that they were all just made up stuff that man made up. And then as I went looking into like the history of the Bible, and the things that who wrote what and when and where it came from and all that stuff, like um, I I came to the conclusion myself anyway that uh, at least you know I didn't believe in a God, and the claim, and Christianity is definitely false. That's the conclusion I came to, and but then looking at it from a more like you know, starting from that default position of okay, the thing that I believed is definitely not true. I mean, the Bible is filled with historical inaccuracies. It claims to be a source for morality, yet it's completely immoral. It's um, all this God completely changes from the beginning to the New Testament. It's a completely different God. The Just all of these various things, the contradictory nature of that God, the things that are necessary for the story that just did not happen historically. So I was certain that you know, at very least, the Bible is false. It's fiction, and the it's the source for Christianity, the only source. So if that's the only reason, if Christianity is completely based on people believing this false thing, then Christianity is false. Um, So, but then I had a way to like a starting point to look at the claims of other religions and the claim of a god or a deity or anything else. And starting from that point, I was able to then like say, there's just no, there's not only is there no evidence of any gods, there's no reason at all to believe any of that's true at all. There's no reason to even suggest that a god exists. And
Yeah. I mean, if there was a God, like an actually existing God, people should have a consistent understanding of the properties of that God, you know? So the fact that everyone has kind of their own different versions of it, you know, is an indication that, you know, people are, I mean, I like to call it fanfic, where they're taking this existing text and their interpretation of that text is just them making up things on top of it. I mean, a lot of stuff that they claim aren't even in the actual Bible. It's just it's post biblical. So you know that's a big indication that
yeah,
what's the
right, of
Bible is
course.
not. Yeah,
The
it's
most
just fiction.
important the most important parts like that they have to uphold, like the Trinity, is not biblical in any way
Yep,
whatsoever.
yep.
The and I think that's a one of many big issues. The Now, as an atheist, so there's two things here. When I tell you what I think, which is all that stuff about Christianity is definitely false and all that, that's my position. Like I don't pretend to tell people that I can um, prove that God doesn't exist. I can definitely show that the Bible has falsehoods in it, but that's my conclusion and my position. That's if you're asking what I believe, because theistic beliefs are that it's just what you think about a thing. Um, then I believe that it's horseshit. Um,
Do you know this Diamond Dog USA? Is he
yeah,
like a regular troll? Okay. Yeah,
I
they're like,
don't I don't know who that is, but I don't know them. I see them. You were saying, do
okay,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
know this person? No. I
Yeah, yeah. I just meant like, is he kind of regular in your streams?
No.
Okay,
I'm not familiar with them. The Never been here before. Well, you know,
okay.
it
Oh, yeah.
seems
It
like
says it's never been here. Yeah.
it seems like um, it seems like we filtered out a lot of the trolls and stuff that were here earlier. So the yeah,
Well, so
but
let me just say a little bit about like, uh, kind of, because you saying kind of you grew up young Earth creationist, so this idea that we're all born knowing God exists. I was born in Korea, and I was it was a we were pretty poor, we didn't have much, and my first exposure to Christianity is having a really yummy getting a really yummy bread from I think it was a church, or they were kind of giving out this like, I mean, it was almost like gourmet for me at the time. I mean, I can still like remember how good it tasted, but they were basically giving it out to get people to come into the church, to
that's what I was
kids,
going to
right?
say. Giving it out as long as you come listen to the sermon, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was like I had to listen to a sermon, but they were definitely like using it to kind of. I mean, like I said, I'm a kid, right? So like,
Yeah.
okay, you give me this, okay, I'll go in and get it. And then, after that, when my family came to the U.S., uh, you know, the church, and I was in a tiny little town. It was like 600 people. Um, but the church there, it was a Methodist church. You know, they wanted to get us to their church. I mean, it was, I don't think it was like some nefarious intentions, but they wanted to get people into their church. So that's how I got pulled into Christianity, not because you know I I was born knowing God. It was just like, okay, it was part of the culture. If I hadn't migrated to the U.S., I probably wouldn't have become a Christian. Although in Korea, Christianity is pretty popular, and if I don't know about where you are, but where I am, there's like tons of Korean churches everywhere. So, um, and so I got into that kind of the culture of Christianity, and I enjoyed the kind of the social aspect, of Christianity, in terms of like being in a congregation, getting to know people, etc. And I like to sing, and I was in the church choir, and they even have like this youth group called Awana. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's pretty widespread. But um, I
Yeah,
think
no, I've heard of that.
okay, yeah, yeah. So I got to like memorize all these verses, and so like a lot of the famous one like Romans 3:23, John 3:16, and all these other ones. I and even more. I memorize. I know the order of the books of the Bible still. So uh, I got exposed to all that, and like you, when I went to, I mean, I started kind of questioning it when I was getting older, but when I got to college, I actually um, majored in philosophy, and so I got exposed to a lot of different thoughts, and that pretty much kind of sealed it for me in terms
Sure.
of me being able to say, you know what, I'm an atheist. At the time, I said I kind of declare myself to be an agnostic, and I stayed that way until maybe like a year or so ago when I started watching the AXP channel. And then I started kind of rethinking it. And, I got to the point where, I think I'm um, a hard atheist. I don't believe that there is any God. So so
Yeah.
that's where I am, and all this kind of like being on like having these streams and all that, it's been helpful for me, just kind of solidifying kind of my own position on these things, and it's even helped me kind of learn more of the different sciences. So I had some postgraduate studies in molecular biology. So on the biology side, I was pretty tight, but like physics and some of the chemistry stuff, I learned all that because like when I hear all these like, stupid arguments from these creationists or intelligent designer or whatever, it makes me want to look that up, and then I end up learning more specifics about them. So it's actually been like educational for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, and I think that that's an excellent way to look at like having conversations, because whenever it comes to stuff like this, the best method to really understand it is going to be through having discourse with the people that believe it, right? I mean, the you can get, because like with something like Christianity having 40,000 some odd denominations, I would say that after after each individual Christian defines God into existence the way that they see God, they then also believe in a different thing about that God, or at the very least, they weigh out the importance of the things they believe about that God differently, and every person's going to do that. Um, the So I think that actually having conversations with people helps to better understand the different perspectives, because there's just as like atheism is the just says I don't I reject your claim, I'm not convinced of your claim, however you want to word it, and then um, from there you go on to have many people who have many different perspectives about religion, Christianity, even each denomination. So Christianity really has the same thing going for it in that case, because and that actually speaks to part of the problem with it, right? Because if there's this one God that's going around giving everybody the truth and giving everybody knowledge from birth that He exists, then why does each person define that God into existence differently? Like, why does each person again weigh out the importance of those things differently. And that's without even getting into the the actual things that the Bible says. Um, so yeah, I think that that's a good way to look at it, and I think that you know I think that sometimes it's tough to get them to engage in those type of conversations where you can get anywhere with that. But it's at least you're going into it with good faith, right?
Yeah, 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 so to speak.
Yeah, so to speak. Pun completely intended there, but
Yeah,
uh, whether they do or not, you can't control that.
yeah, yeah,
And so you try to, and like for me, the most important thing wasn't disproving theists or convincing them in some way that they're full of shit. Like I had no I had no illusions that that was going to happen. Uh, I think that I changed. It kind of changed the way that I viewed all of this, the whole conversation, and the people that I'm having it with, as I went along and done this. And I think that anybody that's trying to engage in this topic honestly will have that, because you're going to be given new views, new beliefs, new information all the time, and so it's going to gradually change the view you have on the conversation as a whole. um, Maybe not the reason that you're having it necessarily, but just a better understanding of what you're engaging in. And for me, like, the atheist community itself is the best part about it. Like, the I enjoy, like, as far as a debate goes, like, I enjoy the study and stuff, and preparing to have an in-depth conversation about some sort of topic to do with it. Like, I think that's fun and stuff in a way, but after so much of that, like, it's I question really what are my goals here, and whenever I set back, my goals are a little different than most, I think. The Which is fine. That's, again, having a more diverse view of it with multiple perspectives is better than not, I think. So so yeah, I can appreciate that view of it. And just to be clear, though, you said you don't know about where I am, but in Kentucky, I've I don't know of any Korean churches. We
well,
don't.
are you like so I actually live, or my parents had ran a business in Lexington.
Sure.
So are is that where you are, or you're like more a southern kind of thing?
Lexington is about 100 miles west of me.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
in Lexington there are at least a couple Korean churches, but
oh no, I'm
probably
sure
in
that there's
Kentucky not that
some.
many. Was that?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that there's some, especially in the cities like
Yeah.
Lexington and Louisville and Frankfort and those places. I'm sure that there's a few. Just not something I've ever seen, though. Uh, the I live in the far eastern part of Kentucky, northeast. I'm right on the border of Ohio and West Virginia, and it's a there's, like, Ashland, Huntington is probably the biggest cities in the area, but it's still, like, considered a rural area. So um, you know the not a lot of that. There's not there's not many Korean people in this area. Period. Like, it's just or even Korean heritage people.
Well, I
Um,
was surprised that you're okay with kind of showing your face online. I think in Kentucky, especially maybe that part of Kentucky, where they probably don't look too kindly on atheists. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, they don't appreciate what I do.
So, do
But
people around you know that you're an atheist?
some, yeah. Yeah. Not, I mean,
Okay.
it's not like, you know, given people around me are, so as you know, being that close to Lexington, I'm rather close to Ken Ham's boat too, right? Um, and
I've never gone to that, and I wasn't even aware of it when I was in Lexington. So,
yeah, so like the reason that that's where it's at is because there is a huge creationist population in this part of the state, in Kentucky itself. Pew Research said like 47% of adults in Kentucky believe the creationist story. The Which the national average is like 38%. So I mean, we have like almost a full 10 points above that here in Kentucky. It's one of the highest states for that. Uh, the so Most of the people around me are creationists. They're definitely all pretty much theists. They're all pretty much Christians. Um, with a huge number of those being creationists. So, like through the course of things, even though it's the Kentucky atheist, none of them are going to click on this channel. Very few, anyway. There are some people though that like words gotten around of what I do, you know, from talking to people or whatever. Like um, the so it's like, you know, even just somebody who I think is a friend, you know, like I'll be like, oh hey, yeah, I'll call you back in a little bit. I'm making a video, and what kind of videos do you make, you know? And then I tell them, and it's a small town that that stuff gets around easily. Uh, so it's, I wouldn't say a large number of people here know, but it is known. And before I even started doing this, I had engaged in some public arguments and things with people about this topic. So there's people that know, and it's caused some problems, I guess. But really, it's not the people here that have been the worst. Like I've gotten death threats and stuff from Steven Anderson's people down in Tennessee. I've I've been talked to in all kinds of awful ways, and it's usually not from people in Kentucky. It's usually from others. I've had a lot of Muslims get upset with me too. Um, you know, with this channel or an OF? What do you mean OF?
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. Um, uh,
Yeah, I'm planning on starting an OnlyFans where I will be debating Christians, except I'll be naked.
yeah, I don't think. While I know the OnlyFans, you know, I know porn has moved into this area to where it's uh, my stepfather or stepbrother and all that stuff. But I don't think cousins OnlyFans would be good. So it would be worse, I would think. I guess it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
uh, the But yeah, it's, I mean, for sure it's looked down on, but nobody really says anything to me. Plus, like, um, for anybody that does know me and then knows that about me, like they know that I have a dodgy past, you know. I used to be a drug addict. I've been to prison a couple times. Um, I'm not really known for putting up with people's shit. So, I mean, like, I'm not trying to say I'm definitely not a badass. That I'm definitely like, especially since I've gotten older and uh, have some health problems and whatever. Like, I'm not that person, but I think they just know that I'm not going to put up with their shit. Plus, like, I have a college education, and most people here don't, so they're just intimidated by having conversation with me. Usually, there's a lot of fucking idiots here, like, um, and I mean, like, the thing is though, is that I don't view it that way. Like, I think that, like, I got a degree in computer science, but for the person that knows how to work on my car and fix it, like, that's just as important to me. Like,
Yep.
to the person who's a farmer that knows how to raise livestock and agriculture and any number of things. Like, I think that all those things are just as important. It's just different stuff. Like, so people know different things, and the things I know doesn't make me any like any more of an authority on anything. um, the So I don't view it that way, but, like, it's a weird thing though, because being an atheist and the position that I told you I carry, like, I don't it's it's a very isolated situation, because I don't trust the judgment of most of those people, and I don't. I interact with them as little as I can, um, because I don't. I just don't. That's how I feel about it. I feel like, I don't dislike them because of it. Like, it's not that kind of thing. Sure, it's an irrational position, but indoctrination is a thing, and so, I can't really have a personal problem with them individually, but also, like, I still don't, trust their judgment, because they're making it all based on the most extreme position you can have in Christianity, that everything in it's true, which is awful. uh, but yeah, so it's not. I mean, growing up, of course, like, I experienced what it's like to grow up as a Christian and then be an atheist later in life, in this area, and dealing with the people and all those things, and whatever. But it's what I grew up and experienced. Just like you had the story of the things you experienced, and that was normal for you. This is normal for me. So, not as extreme as it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I mean, you had an option, like me, where just, putting up an avatar instead of, kind of having a camera on. But, you chose the latter.
Well,
And I was just kind of wondering what led you to that decision.
so a little background too. Like, for the longest time, no one knew my name as Joe. Like, it was, people called me KA or
Yep.
TKA. Um, it wasn't until, like, I started getting to know people in the community and stuff that I let my name out there. And the Kentucky Atheist, like I said, most people in this area aren't interested in it, and don't know me personally. So, like, right here in my town, they do, but it's such a small area, and the numbers that my channel puts up statistically tells me that next to no one here is watching, if anyone at all. I've got a couple friends that occasionally watch the show, and a couple of members of my girlfriend's family watch the show, but I know that none of those people that for the most part, that would be critical of what I'm doing or watching. And if they are, that's fine. I mean, like I've, I lived 25 years of my life in fear of everything that they threatened me with. I'm not going to continue to do it now. Uh, they they don't get to do that just because they believe in fairy tales. Uh, I mean, that's my view on it, and I'm definitely not scared of them. So um, they can't do anything worse to me that I haven't already done to myself. Uh, uh, you know,
What about your workplace, or do you have worries about that?
well, I don't have a workplace anymore.
Oh,
I was working, running a lawn company for a long time, and
okay.
I had heart surgery a couple years ago, and just haven't been able to do that kind of stuff and whatever. And
Yeah.
but I've fallen back on a few different things, like again the degree in computer science. So I
Mm-hmm.
still do some things, work on electronics, fix people's phones, build computers. I still find a few things to do and stuff. I make a few bucks off of doing this.
Yeah.
Not anything. I don't make anything serious from this. I mean, like usually less than $200 a month, which
Mm-hmm.
for coming and talking to people, to me, is amazing. I never expected my channel to get to where it's at anyway. Like
Yeah.
reaching 1,000 subscribers was something I really didn't expect to even happen. When I reached the first 500 subscribers, I did my first live stream, and it's because I was just surprised to have made it that far. Uh, um, the so uh, it's I don't know. It's interesting. I've had some since that time. There's been some things happen that the atheist community itself has bailed my ass out. My house flooded, and some people helped
Oh,
me
wow.
out.
Wow.
Uh, yeah. I had a couple things come up or whatever, and the community supported me and helped me out a little bit with stuff and whatever, and so I don't know, like even if if my channel was demonetized completely today, I would still be back tomorrow to make the same content. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't really see it that way. But I'm happy that it does make a little bit. But like, so what the channel has made though, like, I upgraded my computer so I can do better things. I pay for this platform that I'm using to stream from. I the equipment and the all those things, like there's a lot of it just goes back to me being able to do this. And as far as having my face on camera, originally I wanted to do like an animated avatar, kind
Yeah.
of like
Who is that? The
Professor
dinosaur?
Stick, or yeah, or
Oh,
yeah,
Dapper
yeah,
Dinosaur.
Dapper
Yeah, yeah.
Dino,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah, something like that. And I just that was I just didn't. So and then whenever I first started live streaming, I was like, well, I'm going to do a few live streams, and then I'll get back to doing what I was doing before, because I was trying to release an edited video every week, or every 10 days, right in that area. And that was a ton of work, and to get one video out. Whereas with live streaming, a lot of times I don't have that much preparation and that much work that goes into it. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but not the same kind of work.
Yeah.
Um, and then some of that, like the money the channel makes, goes to all the intros and the graphics and stuff you see. I don't do that. Jess does all those things, and I try to kick her, something for her trouble, and it lets her help out in a way that she wanted to, and gives her, compensates her a little bit for her time, plus lets other people see how talented she is. And I heavily promote her stuff, and she's available for anybody that, you know, wants that kind of stuff made. And she's made some just excellent intros and graphics and all that stuff for the channel, videos, just many different things that she's done great. So yeah, it's, and then also, like, there's other channels within this community that I then support also, and that support me. We kind of, go back and forth on those things. I'm a member on several channels, Ember's channel and Maya's channel and Mark Reed's channel. There's, and as this channel grows and can afford it, I put some of that back into it. So
Yeah.
it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that I'm missing right now. Where, I wasn't even aware that there's this kind of network of atheist content creators. So that was kind of interesting.
Right, right. There's and that's really what's awesome is when I first started, Ember was one of the first people that I met from this community of people, and she helped me to discover StreamYard first of all, and how to like do different things, and showed up on my first live stream, and I just I had watched Ember had done a interview with Aaron Raw, who is
Hmm.
just one of my heroes among atheists, and uh, it was a really good interview and stuff. And I had caught Ember in the chat over at the line. I think it was during the or right before the the drive they do for RFR every year, and so I had Ember had seen me over there, and was like, "Hey, you have a channel and make stuff, and about, I only had a few videos out, but one of them got really big around that time. Uh, um, I made a video called "Scum of the Earth: Televangelist Grifts" or something like that, and it got like 18, 19,000 views in a short period of time. And so my channel kind of blew up fast early, uh, or at least got over that first 500 subscriber hump pretty fast. The And it's just been, it's just been learning as I go from there. Really, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, that's all you can really do, though, right? I mean, you you have whatever set of goals, and as you go, you keep trying to find better ways to reach those goals. And so, my goals when I first started was I want to debate Christians. I want to debate creationists. I want to I want to debate evolution with creationists, even, um, uh, and I realized, like, after talking to Daniel and some different things that happened and on the channel and stuff, that, like, maybe the that wasn't the goal I thought it was. And I had went on MDD and did a debate on there, and the I realized, yeah, shortly after that, the whole thing with Matt Dillahunty happened, and it really I had already been speaking out about MDD, and
Hey, what is that? I don't know
modern
what
day
that is.
debates.
Oh, that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I had. I had already spoke out some about modern day debates, and then given the experience I had with them, had more to say about it. And then that happened, and all of a sudden, everybody was like, yeah, fuck modern day debates. And
Uh-huh.
so it was kind of like at that moment, though, I had kind of like this moral crisis myself, because it was like, what is it, like my whole set of goals and stuff that I've set forward here, like why are those my goals, and what good comes from me just going on a provocative, it just engaging in provocativeness for the sake of views and provocativeness. And given like YouTube is very much, there's an entertainment aspect to it, right? So uh, it's okay if that's what you do, but for me, it's just not what I wanted to do. And as I met more people in the community and grew and stuff, I realized that what a great community of people it was and stuff, and the number of folks out there that by doing these debates and trying to engage in these uh, just constantly arguing about science and using the this idea that they were wanting to engage in a debate in order to platform harmful stuff towards that community. So I really became more worried about that, and rather than focus on the things that Christians were doing, because, like, let's face it, it hasn't changed much in thousands of years. Um, Rather than focusing on that, I kind of switched to focusing more on the members of the atheist community itself, which some people may say atheist community is the wrong term or whatever. But I think the atheist community on YouTube is definitely a thing. And there's multiple communities that make up that community. And so um, having a place where we can come and have conversations about difficult topics, whether it be religion or addiction or those things, and having a safe space to do it in, where that if somebody's attacking you or saying harmful stuff, um, they will be quickly removed. Um, Having that was something that's needed more of in the atheist community on YouTube. Because again, like I think some of my mods and stuff pointed out earlier that it looked like that uh, some of those trolls followed you here from the atheist experience or from Twitter, right? Because and I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that because some of those other places don't focus on that at all. Um, like sure they have good mods that are trying to do it or whatever, but um, they're only so effective, and um, so having a smaller place is actually better in some ways, and um, you know, uh, most of the people in the chat right now, I know I've had many conversations with. Um, and so it's a good place for us to be able to do it, and people can call that an echo chamber or whatever they like. I don't care. I don't need the approval of Christians for this. I don't care about their approval. I don't give a shit. um, I'm we uh, we as the atheist community are more than just I don't accept your claim of a God existence. Like there's more, and maybe we don't all have those things in common, but that's the good thing about it, right? Like if I want to talk to a geologist or a biologist or a milk truck driver, those people are out there, and that's that's I can do that, and we can learn from each other and improve our position without them, because again, it hasn't changed. If I want to argue with Kent Hovind, I can pull his seminar up right now and argue with it. um, I don't need him because he hasn't said anything new. uh, it's so that's kind of my position on it. And in doing it that way, I've had Matt Dillahunty on, I've had Aaron Raw on, I had David Fitzgerald on, I've had JL Warren's been here a number of times, Godless Granny's been on. I've had lots of both huge and small creators. And since my channel has kept growing and stuff, I've wanted to focus more on some of the channels that maybe people don't know about. And I think that bringing new creators into the community so that they have people they can network with, and you like you again, you said you weren't really aware of all these people that hung out together and did this stuff. And now there's people that, oh yeah, you were over on the Kentucky Atheist stream, and you've got a
Yeah.
question, or you need somebody's input, or whatever. Like that's how we normalize and uh, do better at this as a whole, is by acknowledging the strengths of each other. So um, that's, again, like I said, my views on these things are quite a bit different than most atheist channels. So I'm in no way like the have the right way about going about it, or pretend that that's the case in any way. But it's what I like, and it provides me the chance to have a social life with like-minded people that I don't get in the place that I live, and also try to do something that's helpful. So that's kind of like uh, that's my position on it. Now, I don't.
Yeah, and I'm similar too. I mean, like my streams with my regular panelists, a lot of the guys are here, Ook and Barg and Neo and John. So, and even Tilting, who's generally in the live chats, he's here as well. So, I mean, to me, it's a fun thing that I'm doing, and I don't have any illusions that I'm going to be able to convince any theists or Christians that they're wrong and their belief, indeed doesn't have any evidence. I learned a long time ago that you could be the most eloquent person, have the most logical, convincing argument, but if that other person is set on their beliefs, they're not going to change. Your eloquence isn't going to affect them at all. So, when I'm doing this and arguing against these Christian positions, I'm really doing it for myself as well as, other atheists who may not have as a concrete an answer for some of these arguments, so that, when they do hear, another Christian giving the same stupid kalam argument, that they would be more, their minds would be more prepared to be able to say, yeah, that is wrong. Because what happens is people who haven't really thought about it, they hear some of these fallacious arguments. They think, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, isn't our universe like a clock? So yeah, there's a clockmaker, so there must be a creator. I think there are people who kind of fall into that, and so I think when they get exposed to some of these counter arguments, I think it helps them so they
Oh,
don't fall for those kind of stupid things.
I do too, and I don't think, like, again, I think it's great that there's places that do that, but
Hmm.
this is just where I found. Uh, this is just after like a year and a half of doing this, where I found myself at. Like
Yeah.
this is, and that I think that's exactly right though. I think that as many sources as there are out there correcting bad ideas, that's another opportunity for people to hear a rebuttal to that bad idea, which is not a bad thing in any way whatsoever. What I
Hmm.
think what I think is problematic is that when new people do come into this community, like they however they get here, like they've been questioning, or they're an atheist and they've just discovered, this group of people or whatever. Like, what I think is problematic is every single channel thinking that the atheist community is about arguing with Christians.
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and so it's not that I don't want those other perspectives and ways of doing this to be there. I do. Um, it's just I think that we have to be ourselves and approach it our own way, and not all be trying to do the same thing. Um,
yeah, yeah. I agree.
so yeah.
And by
The
the way, it's like it's not like, when you're an atheist, you suddenly become a smart intellectual who can make a great argument. There are definitely a lot of atheists who aren't making the best arguments, don't have, the best information, and may themselves kind of have come to atheism sort of in a fallacious way.
one of the
So
first things I tell people often is, I'm just some dummy from Kentucky. Like, you don't have to listen to me. Like, don't listen to me. In fact, don't, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just some dude from Kentucky. Like, it's not that kind of thing. I don't pretend to be an expert on the things I speak of. I'm not a scholar or some kind of biblical historian. I'm not a I'm not a biologist or a paleontologist, but there's people that are those things. And one of the most valuable things that I ever learned in, from my education is that it's not always about having the answer. It's about being able to find the answer, in a timely manner, like being able to knowing what to do to get that answer. And that's more important than knowing it off the top of your head. And that
yep.
there's great people like, are you familiar with Grayson? um,
Yeah, yeah, yep.
so Grayson is just so incredibly intelligent, and any number of topics or issues you may come up with, knows off the top of his head immediately. Like, is prepared to have that conversation about anything. Me, not so much. There's a few things that I understand pretty well, but I'm not. Generally, if we're going to have a talk about some topic, I have to go look at it. I don't think Grayson has to do that. I think that he's, and maybe I'm wrong, but I've seen him at the drop of a hat argue about any number of things, and be and talk on it as good as any expert in the field. So, and he does have an expertise, by the way. But the you know there's knowing where to find that stuff, and also being like that so many of us move around the atheist community and consume content from our favorite creators and stuff. If I say, if I come up and say, like, well, what's one of the big issues with flood geology or young earth geology or whatever, any number of people are going to say, "Oh, Gutsick Gibbon has these videos on the heat problem. You should probably look into that." Like that, there, whether you know it or not, there is a whole group of people who have consumed that content that can send you in the right direction. And so I that's and that's what's really cool about it, right? Like, um, Christians, I think a lot of times, theists in general, I think one of the things that hurts them so badly is if I go to a theist group and I say, hey, um, uh, what, how do I find the answer to this thing or understand this? There's going to be, first of all, several people just tell me their interpretation of it. Then there's going to be way more people that say you need to read your Bible. Um, and part of the problem with that is whenever you have a book that asserts that it already knows everything about everything, there's not really any room for discovery or learning past that. You've limited yourself to this very closed view of the world around you, and I think that's sad. I think it really makes me feel bad for the people who are indoctrinated into those belief systems because that closed view of the world. I know what that's like, and I've experienced that. And um, the one that I have of the world now and the people in it, even though I am hyper aware of the fact that there are many more bad people in this world than good people. The the fact that I'm aware of it, though, made the world such a bigger place, made the universe such a bigger place, and a place full of awe and wonder and great things, and those those the individuals that have been great people that really care about others and making the world a better place for those that come after us. Um, you know, 10, 10, 10 creationists can kiss my ass for every one of those, right? Like the it's like I don't know. It's a much I'm in a much happier place myself since coming to this understanding, and uh, I think that's I don't know. I think it's a good thing. But I tell you what, we are going to wrap this up here in about 5 minutes, though,
Yep.
because my friends over at the Transpositions start their show, Transpositions Weekly, at 8 o'clock on Thursdays. I have not redirected to that yet, but if you want to real quick tell people like about your channel and what you do and why you do it and all those things for about 2 or 3 minutes while I go set up the forward this to their channel. Um, and anybody in chat wants to ask a question or something, ask it, and I'm sure QC will answer you. Give me just a minute though to forward this channel, and
Okay.
you can tell everybody about yourself while I'm doing it.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I've kind of talked a little bit during this stream. It looks like my links are getting posted, but my channel is Challenge Your Beliefs. And as I had mentioned before, it was really a forum to have a few of us kind of meet regularly, Saturdays at 8 p.m. US Central, where we discuss various different things. Initially, it was going to be kind of a debate with theists, but it's just gotten around to where we kind of discuss different things. For example, we talked about the Luigi Mangione thing. We talked about, um, uh, I think the last one, like I mentioned, was in regard to mental health, what Trump is planning on in terms of mass deportation. So various different things. I have on my channel that we'll be discussing like philosophy, science, and religion. Oh, I just remember the guy that I had the week before, Charles Sears, and that was a discussion about justice. What does justice mean? And that one is really fascinating. So I recommend you take a look at that. But uh, and I'm also on Twitter under Challenge Belief, and on there I kind of challenge a lot of these. Christians, and that's where I mean I have to admit I am a little more aggressive there, a little more confrontational, and but at some point I've stopped getting into these back and forth with them, and so I just kind of stop at some point and just say, okay, if you are actually interested in having a discussion, uh, sure, come on my scheduled live stream, and most of the time they'll either run away or a couple times this week they just like blocked me as as soon as I gave them that challenge. So I like I said, I think a lot of the guys that are the trolls that come on, whether it's in the live chats or on Twitter or in the comments, YouTube comments, they like to talk big. They like to, seem like, oh yeah, I have the argument against the atheists, and when they're challenged to actually come on and have that discussion, uh, they're not really up to it because they know they can't maintain an argument. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I have. I don't know if anyone has any questions in the chat. Let me. I haven't really been following it, but I know you
I'm
guys are having
watching.
fun.
I
Okay.
haven't seen. I've seen them talking to each other.
Yep.
The Yeah, they got a couple more minutes if they want to ask something though. I have forwarded the stream over to
Great.
the Transposition Weekly show. So after the show goes off, if you just hang around, you'll be sent over there with Ember and Carly and Steph and Bree, which is always an awesome show where they talk about trans topics in the news, and it's a lot of good information and stuff, and great hosting. Very intelligent people over there hosting. Over here on this side of it, if you're new here, you liked the show tonight, or you're interested in the show, like and subscribe. That's the biggest thing you can do to help me out. Starting tomorrow, well, we actually did it last week, but we'll be doing a regular show, Jess and I, where we respond to the stupid videos that Ken Ham releases every week. Here's going to be the artwork and stuff for that. So yeah, spoiled ham. That's what we decided to call it, and Jess came up with that completely. But yeah, should be a lot of fun. Just we had so much fun talking about Ken Ham getting butthurt about Bill Nye receiving the Congressional Medal of Freedom that we thought, hey, why not just go on and show why Ken Ham's an idiot all the time. And we've already he releases stuff weekly too, so it's kind of like there's always this there's always something for us to respond to, and so we'll they're generally short videos and stuff, so Jess and I can get through them kind of quickly and you know laugh at Ken Ham because he says such silly things. Um, Also, if you're new here, the stick around too if you're interested in the Ark Encounter protest in July. It'll be July 6th this year. A lot of more information coming out that in the coming weeks. In the next couple weeks, I hope to get everything set up for that. I'm working on it, but yeah. So definitely go over to QC's channel and subscribe. Though I've been over there for a couple conversations. Actually, jumped on for a few minutes the last time I was there, and um, told said get a hold of me and email and come talk to me, and so that's what brought us here today. So um, wait, is a sweetheart of happy hits the rest of us they're dangerous. Yeah. uh, but yeah, so outside of that, thanks for coming everybody, and have a great night. Later.
Oh, and
They call me a
Hold on.
oh, I was just gonna thank you for inviting me. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
fine.
no problem. No problem. I
Yeah,
appreciate you
yeah.
taking the time to come talk to me. Have
Oh
a good
no,
night,
this was
everyone.
great. Yep. Right. Bye.
They call me a